So you got yourself a fancy 60 size Hanger 9 P51 or something else that has retractable landing gear and gear doors, and you're trying to sequence so that when the gear is down, sorry for the mess by the way, the door is closed. When you want to put the gear up, you want the door to open, then you want the gear to come up, and then you want the door to close. That's a sequence. It's not a two-step process where we have, if the door was open all the time and when the gear was up, and then you when the gear was down, and then you command gear up, and then the door closes. That's a two-step sequence. This is a three-step sequence. Open the door, put the gear up, close the door. That's 3 steps. If you want to put the gear down, imagine it's all down, the door opens, the gear goes down, the door closes. Okay, how do you do that? Well, they make sequencing things that you can connect to your landing gear and your gear doors that will do that. But if you got one of these, you don't have to buy that because you can do sequencing right here. So what you're going to want to do is make a channel for each of your sorry, it's hard to do this and hold this. So right now I've got the gear on channel 5. Now that's just one channel. You may not have one of these. You may have each gear in a channel, which would be like 3 channels if you have a tail wheel on a P51 like that. Well, you can do that too. You would just assign 3 gear channels. You got to have a lot of channels, but you can do that. And then each gear door should be its own channel. You can put them on a Y harness, but I wouldn't do that. I would just put them on their own channel, which means in theory you could have as many as 5 channels, 3 gear, 2 doors. I have 3 channels because it's 1 channel to make that thing make all 3 gear work and 1 channel in each door. Okay, I think you get the picture. And then right now I have the gear doors on aux 6 and on aux 8. I didn't label them or anything. It's just what they are. So here's the way you set this up. Okay, so let's get out of here. First thing you're going to do is set the endpoints of these doors and the gear. So the gear is usually 100% each way. No big deal, open and close. These, you want to set your endpoints so the door opens the appropriate amount and then closes the appropriate amount and doesn't bind and all that. Just like you'd set up anything else. So set up the endpoints for the gear doors first. Okay, now go over to your program mixes, okay? So I'm going to go to this first one. And what you're going to notice is, first of all, I've turned the mix on, but I'm not controlling it on and off with a switch. It's always on. And by the way, I should probably go back to the function thing real quick. Hold on. Notice I did not assign a switch to the gear or to the gear doors, aux 1 and then the other page is aux 2. I did not assign a switch. Don't do that. It won't work if you do that. Okay, back to here again. Back to the mix. Program mix right there. Okay, so this page. What you're going to do is turn this mix on. Do not put yourself a switch to turn it on and off. Leave that one blank. Okay, the master is going to be your actual landing gear switch, which in my case, I like this one here, SF. I have it forward. Oops. I have it forward for gear down. I like all my switches forward for when I'm taking off. Like everything's normal. Like this is my ignition kill switch. So that would be forward. Obviously the ignition's running, or electric motor, that's the cutoff. So that's on. Everything's, rates and whatever you're using is on forward. And then once you get up in the air, okay, now we start, oops, I didn't do that. We start changing things. Okay. So that was a little side note for you. The slave is in this setup. We're going to do this for each gear door, and we're going to do this for the gear. So we're going to have 3 program mixes here. So this one is one of the gear doors, auxiliary 1. Okay. The in and the out is what controls the speed at which this moves over time. Okay. So it's not the speed of the servo. We're not messing with that. If you want to change the servo speed that these open, you can do that under your servo speed tab on the function, the linkage menu, on the other thing, not on the program mix. This is the speed, and I'm going to show you here. It's kind of cool. What you're going to see, God, this is hard to hold and do this at the same time. What this is, just take a look at that, because this is kind of how you're going to set it up. This is for the aux 1, okay? And when I activate this, you're gonna see this line move. You see how slowly it's, and I'm gonna stop it because I don't wanna do the whole thing right now, but it's moving slowly from one side to the other, okay? How fast that is moving will depend on how you set these speeds. The slowest it'll go is 27, which is, these are not like a linear thing. It's very disproportionate. Like a 23 is way faster than a 25, and a 27 is way slower. If you go like, 7 or 8 or something, you'll find that you can hardly even notice it slowed it down. So this is just the speed that I figured out, because it takes X amount of time for the gear to actually make its cycle, to come down or to come up. So I'm setting this so that you can notice that this is going to make the gear door open. And then there's this big long space in here, right? Well, that's where the gear is going to move. And then the gear door is going to close, right? Because this thing's going to move over time. It's very simple. And you just set your points and you know how to do all this. Okay. The other mix is good. See, now here's the other one for the other gear door, this aux 2. But here's the gear, here's the gear itself. Now I've got it looking like this. Now this is kind of bizarre, but again, the same timeline is going to happen here. So look at this page, okay? Master is the switch. The slave is the gear. It's always on. I've got the speed at 24, which, wasn't the other one at 25? I think I changed this one. Whatever, I'll fix it later. But we go back to here, and what's going to happen is as this is moving, which is moving at the same speed as the other one, although I'm starting to question that because I think I did the other one at 25. When it gets to the middle, that's going to cycle the gear, and it's going to keep going, right? And then eventually the gear will just stay up or down. That timing is all about how long it's taking that to move, right? And how long it takes these to move, depending on how slowly I have the servo moving. So once again, if I hit the gear, you can watch that line starts moving. Hasn't cycled the gear yet. Hasn't cycled the gear yet. I'm going to turn it back because I don't want to cycle the gear yet. But you'll note that you can hear the gear door moving. So watch, I guess I could go like, maybe I could go like that. I don't know. You can watch everything happen. Okay, so here goes. It's gonna move. Gear door's opening from the other mix. Gear just got activated. Okay, now it's gonna close. And it's closing, it's closing, it's closing. And then the other one, yeah, I did slow the other one down, that's right. Because now, oh, there goes the gear door. Now the whole sequence is over. That mix is over, and I've got the switch in the up position. When I hit it down, it's gonna reverse everything. It's gonna go like this. The door is gonna open. Then the gear is gonna activate. Now, I'm gonna also show you what's happening on the gear door screen in a second. And then the gear door will close. Now, is that slick or what? So, just so you know, oops, let's go back to this one. So here, this is the gear door mix. You can watch it move, okay? So here we go. So immediately the gear door is opening. You see it opening. Okay, now there's this big delay where nothing's happening on the gear door because the gear is swinging. And right about there is the right amount of time for the gear to close. Make sure you get this time right, otherwise these two things are gonna collide, and that won't be pretty. So one, just look at the whole thing here. Flip the switch, here comes the gear. Door opens, gear's coming down. I mean, you could have the door closing right now, I suppose, if you wanted to, but I mean, it's just all timing. And then the door closes. Pretty slick. So that's how you do sequencing with multiple things on your Futaba programmable radio, either the 18 or 16 or whatever you got, 32. I'm not sure if you can do this on the 14SG. I don't know. Probably can. I actually have an old one of those, but I haven't tried it. So anyway, that's how it works. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Okay.